Hello everyone, this is the second locomotive from that set of non-running locomotives. This one, I have to put it on the track. I know why it's not running. There's a problem with the trucks. So I'll explain that to you in a second. But first, we're going to take a look at the shell up close. This is how I got it. And the shell is actually in really good shape. The coupler is broken. I'm used to that. The handrail is broken here. Now that's nothing major. I can fix that with some crazy glue. And on the other side as well. That's also no big deal. I know how to fix that. If you look under, everything's there. The contact strips, the worm gears, everything's ready to go. It's missing the horn right here. So that too I'll have to fix. This front truck here is missing the tab. I'll refocus this for you. It's missing the little tab here that holds it to the frame. The locomotive would run like that. It's not great, but it's not the worst thing ever. Basically, it would stick the truck in its place, and you go on your merry way. The locomotive will run like that. So that's not too bad. But this one here has got some major problems. There's one gear missing here, and the pin that holds the gear is completely gone. So there's nothing to do. I have to get a replacement part. Now I looked on the Kato website, I looked on eBay. On the Kato website you can get just the gear, but you cannot find the gearbox. So I have to find a donor locomotive for that part. Now it's pretty bad. Let's say a new SD45 is $100. You pick up a used one for $50, let's say. If you have to buy 2 used engines to make a good one, it's cheaper just to buy a new one. So it doesn't always make economic sense to fix old engines. But first of all, I really like this engine and I'm going to fix it up. And the donor engine, I'm going to use it. I'm going to be using its parts to fix 2 locomotives. So let's say my locomotives cost $50 each. I need 3 to make 2, so basically $150, $75 each. It's okay. It's not great, it's not super smart, but it's okay. I can live with that. So I'm going to go through the disassembly of everything with you. So I've got my donor parts. I'm going to go over the disassembly. So first, I'm going to refocus this for you. You can use the box, like I sometimes do, to do the removal of the drive. But this engine has 2 tabs here that you can pull on. So obviously pull very gently. That should release it. Very easy to do. So everything's in the right place under here. I've got my lights, the light shield, and the gas tank. So far so good. The contact strips will pop out. That's fine. We're gonna need to remove them to clean them anyway. So this one, it needs a medium cleaning, like the cleaning you would do every year. Let's just make sure the engine turns. So I'll just put my test leads up on it. Oh yeah, it does turn. Very nice. So you have to remove these 2 screws. Keep track of your retainers, and the screws should just fall out. And the second one. Almost done. There we go. And then you can pry gently on these 4 tabs, and the hinge will, the frames will spread. And then the bottom ones. And then that's it. And that looks pretty good. Everything's right where it should be. So all that's left to do is lubricate the worm gears. I'm going to take everything out, and I'm going to wash the frame with soap and water. Don't forget to manage your separators here. I'm going to take them both out before I go to clean the engine. There's one on this side and one on the other side here, because I don't want to lose them. So I'm going to take the motor out completely from the frame. I don't suggest putting the motor under the water. Maybe you want to wipe it with your rag. Never use steel wool on your motor, because the magnets will draw everything in and then you're buggered. So I'm not going to be washing the engine. I might just take my rags and clean the outside of the I might clean the outside of it, of the outside of the flywheels. Like I said, these you take them out because I want to be sure not to lose them. So I'll do that off camera. Perhaps it's just me. Maybe it doesn't make much difference to have the frame squeaky clean like that, but I just feel better when everything's nice and clean. The worm gears don't look too bad, but I'm still going to do a little bit of cleaning just to make them extra nice. Lubricating these, you don't need much. You just need 1 drop, and that's it. I'm going to do the other side off camera. So my driveline is complete. Every step of the way I'll check it for interference. So I listen to see if there's anything wrong, and I try both directions. So I'm happy with that. So basically that was the easy part. Now we're going to do the trucks. So when I run my finger over it, I feel resistance because I used the grease that was too viscous, too much viscosity. So I have to take everything out, clean it, put it back together. This part actually requires zero lubrication. They run great the way they come from the factory. So to start opening this up, I'm going to keep these gray trucks because the Santa Fe had gray trucks. I will be changing the gearbox, which is going to be black. Once everything's put together, you won't be able to tell the difference. So there, that goes to cleaning. And these strips too have to be cleaned. And the wheels, this is what you spend the most time on, the wheels, making sure they're perfect. And this gearbox, unfortunately, actually this one can still be used. The other one for the other side, I think it's just going to end up being junk. So I'm going to start cleaning that. So this one you want to spend the most time on. It's the wheels. The wheels have to be squeaky clean. Then you get the best contact with the rails and the best electrical pickup. So this, even if you run your engine on a very clean track, they just get dirty over time, and that's what you have to spend the most time on. So this is a 6-axle diesel, so that means I have to do this 12 times, but it's really worth the extra effort. So I'm going to do the other 11 off camera. Now that everything's squeaky clean, I'm going to put it all back together. Now these contact strips, make sure that the end of the wheels, the little cone, is in the bearings, and also make sure that there's a little pin for them. There's 3 pins actually, but make sure everything's in its correct place. Test it. Like I said, in my opinion, these don't require any lubrication. So these things, here, let me focus that for you. These things have only one possibility. They need the holes for the gear, so it won't go like that. It goes like this. And then put it in very slowly, 1 axle at a time, and it'll snap right in. So test it again to make sure that it runs right. So when it's on the Locomotive, you won't tell the gearbox is black. It's gonna look great. So before I do the other side, I'm going to disassemble the shell because I want to remove the handrails. The reason being I want to clean it, and when you use crazy glue, it uses the moisture in the air to dry. So if the piece you're working on is wet, it's not very good. So I'm going to take this apart. So what you want to do is you want to pull on these tabs here. You want to push them out very gently. And there's 2 more in the front. And before you do that, you want to make sure that these little guys are out of their holes. So you pry very gently. They're not particularly brittle, but at the same time, such a beautiful, finely detailed model, it would be a shame to ruin them. So take your time. So I always start at the back, and I take my time, and I just pry on these very gently. These are pretty brittle, so you do want to respect them. You want to get in there, but very carefully, and just pry them out. I mean, if you break them, it's not the end of the world, but they do hold the shell together well. So that's very nice to have. So I'm going to finish this off camera. These 2 tabs down here on the side of the cab go into the battery boxes, and they hold the shell down together. So once you have them out, the cab just comes out, and then you can pull the handrails off very gently. So then I'm going to clean this, and then I'll be able to work on them. Also, wow, can you see that? The handrail there is disconnected from the steps. So that too, I'll probably fix that. This is a model that I particularly love, so it makes it more fun to work on. I have more drive to make it perfect. So you have to fix that. I have to fix the other side, which has the same thing, and this little guy here. So I'll wash it, and then after it's dry, I'll fix it. Also, while you have the sill in your hands, it's easy to get to your couplers to change them out or whatever you want to do. The donor engine that I'm using for the The gearboxes also has really good couplers, so they're gonna find their way here. Alright, so I'm gonna go wash this. Now that everything's dry, I'm gonna work on my gluing my handrails. Look at this checker plate. It's really cool. So I'm gonna apply my glue with my toothpick, and when you're doing that, you need to put as little as you can. It's very important. So I'm going to do that off camera. So I'm going to give time for my handrails to dry. Let me refocus that for you so you can see it better. And while that's drying, I'm going to be working on the couplers. So I'm going to put my couplers back in here. It's really easy to get to them when everything's empty. So this just goes in here. I haven't done much couplers, but this goes in here like that. And just put the little clip back in. It just goes right in there. Nice and easy. So that's about as easy as it's ever gonna get. Now to the other side. You can use a screw. I have a bunch of screws that I use, but today I have these clips in my hands, handy and ready to go. And that's it. Just doesn't get any easier. At this point, I've got all my components ready to go back together, and that's also not too hard to do. So the motor retainer will see there's an arrow here to tell you which way it goes, so that's very easy to do. But before I do that, I'm going to put my two contact strips. So these go up and down just like that. And to the other side too. These if they fall out, that's okay. They're easy to put back. So put the other side back in. So if they need to be aligned, you can do that now. And then we can put the trucks back in. Check your arrow. That should just slip in there. Nice and easy. There. Make sure everything's lined up properly. Let's do the other side. Same thing, watch for your arrow. Everything's good on this side. It just goes in there nice and easy. I'm going to put the gas tank on because the gas tank holds the contact strips. Make sure my contact strips are lined up. Which way is the front here? This is the front. So the gas tank goes with the fill holes in the front. Just like that. And then still have to put my retainers on, so I'll do that off camera. So all that's left to do is put the lights back on. These go the other way. And then the backlight and the little light shield. Now I'm going to test it on the workbench before I go to the track, and also we'll go test it on the track. My prediction is that it's going to run great. Oh yeah, that sounds pretty good to me. So all that's left to do is to put the shell back on. So I'm going to put the shell back on. So that requires 2 hands. Simply because it's a little bit tight. And it's such a beautiful model. You want to be very careful to keep it looking good. Even managed to mooch off a horn from my donor engine. And now it's time to run some trains. Well, this was a lot of fun to do, and I got a super cool engine to show for it. It's really quiet. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you soon.